Welcome back to Putnuts. What we're doing today is cutting up a beef tenderloin. We're going to make filet mignon. We're going to make juicy tender meat for stroganoff, which we're going to be making a stroganoff with my own low-carb noodles. Check that video out. And in this, I'll tell you what to do with this later. Nothing goes to waste on this wonderful piece of meat. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to Putnuts. What we're doing today is a little bit different. We're going to take this whole beef tenderloin and we're going to show you how to cut it up and make filet mignon out of it. It's an expensive cut of meat normally. I got this when they were on sale for $5.99, but they're usually more than double that. So you really don't want to waste any of this delicious meat. So we're going to get right into it and show you how to do this. First of all, this is the whole thing. Tail kind of comes out to a little end here. Now I'll show you what to do with that later. And looks like whoever trimmed this out didn't do the best job. They left a couple chunks hanging. That's okay. So you start out, you find your top side, which is what this is. It's got the silver skin, they call it, for obvious reasons. And you just kind of want to get up underneath of it with a good sharp knife and just follow along it. Try to trim that off of there best you can. I always make a nice pile out of it. Save this because there's a use for the trimmings. I don't waste anything on these things. Need a little ginger at first because I don't want to trim off any meat if I can help it. But you got to get all the silver skin off because it is really tough. And tough is not a word you want to describe your filet mignon. It also helps if you take some of this off to see what you're getting into underneath. Kind of like filleting a fish. You got to peel it back like so. Now you just keep on trimming it here. You kind of stick your knife up underneath that silver skin gently like that. Hang on to it. Peel it back the other way to the other end like so. I do it kind of gingerly because I just don't like to waste a nickel's worth of this expensive, delicious meat. Look right there. It's almost all silver skin there. But there's a use for that, so don't throw it away. Don't throw it away. I'll tell you what I do with that in a little bit. Now you come up here and you start getting into like so. You just follow that run. Got that in there. I don't know how well you can see it. It's hard to do this where you can see it, but there we go. Oh, that's a nice big one. And you just kind of, I'm just barely touching it. You pull on it, and the meat just kind of pulls itself apart. The knife just helps. You take that strap, lay it aside. We'll get to that in a minute. This is your main fillet right down the center here. Trim that off. Tiny amounts of the real thin silver skin won't hurt anything. They chew up pretty good. But anything larger and thicker, you really need to get rid of. Now, this is more fat than silver skin. You could choose to leave that. That again, is up to you. Turn this over a little. Clean it up a bit. You can see this is where the guy, when he trimmed it out, he got it a little wild with his knife. That's okay. We'll just take that right off like that. That's a nice piece of meat there. Like I said, I don't waste anything on these. A little heavier fat on the bottom of these. You may or may not want to take off. I just like them to look pretty. Learned to do this as a meat cutter for a grocery store, and if it didn't look pretty, it didn't sell. So that's just kind of the way I always learned to do it. Now, we got this basically trimmed out a little bit here. A little bit of silver skin here I want to take off. Not really a big deal, but I like to take it off. Okay, so now you got your point here. Find a spot where it's thick enough to make a steak. You cut it off. That's a nice steak size, but it's a point on the other side, so we can't really use it. Then you go and you take yourself a nice fillet. Nice looking fillet. And the same here, I'll have another nice looking fillet there. See? Nice looking. I'll move them out of my way though. A little bit of a wild knife again. And now what a lot of places do is they'll butterfly a fillet. Just simply the same way you butterfly a butterfly pork chop. Cut it most of the way through and then all the way through. And you'll have two pieces still held together by a little bit of meat in the middle. Most people, though, they like to just cut them nice and thick, like that. I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half because I wanted to show you the butterfly, but I didn't want a butterfly. So we got some nice steaks there, 2, 4, 6, 8. And I could probably get a couple more small steaks off the end here, but what I'm going to do with this is a little different. We're going to have beef stroganoff tonight, which is traditionally made with the fillet, the tail of the fillet. That's what this is called. For obvious reasons, it kind of tailed off to the end there. Let me set these steaks out of the way. Here's our tail meat. See, it's pretty decently sized. Chop it up like stew meat. Cut it into little cubes. Remember, this is just really, really tender, so you can't really push on it or it'll just smash. And this is absolutely tender as a piece of meat can get. The tail of the fillet. Best of the best of the best, sir. Now, got all that right there. Now remember I told you we had this beginning piece here. Got a little bit of silver skin left on it. Peel that off. Also, got a little bit of gristle in it. Considering how tender the rest of it is, you won't really notice it. We'll put that over here. And remember this piece we tore off here. Cut it in half just so it's more manageable. It's also tender and delicious. So you don't want to waste it. So I just kind of push that fat off of it like that. Get the worst of it out of there. There's still a nice piece of meat there. Slice up. You can make stir-fry strips out of this. I like to cut it up and use it for stroganoff though. And that is what we're doing today. I might even get a second package out of this. This one here had a lot of extra meat that I couldn't make into steaks. And that's a big pile of meat there. And we got this chunk here. Just trim a little of this excess fat off of there a little bit. Cut it up into chunks. You just don't want to waste it. And the rest of this tail, it's a little more difficult. It's got a lot more fat, a lot more silver skin and gristle mixed in with it. Trust me, none of this is going to go to waste. Now this has got some tough stuff in it. You want to make sure you get it out of there, or you won't be able to use it for much of anything. I usually cut this up a little smaller so that what little bit of tough stuff is left in there will be short enough you can chew it up easily. So there you go. There's that. Now, you're probably wondering, what are you going to do with all this stuff? I'll tell you what I do with this stuff. I take it, you know, some of it's just plain old gristle, like this piece, but I cut it into fairly small pieces, and I put it in the skillet, or actually in like a soup pot, like a 3-quart cooking pot or something, and just put some salt on it, and I fry it until it gets nice and brown. And once it's all nice and brown, you add water to it and boil it for a little while. You know what that makes? It makes beef stock. So this is going to make beef stock. And then, when you're done with that, you got these little pieces of meat, have some gristle stuck to them. You can nibble on those, feed it to your dog, feed it to your cat. They will love you. So that's what you do with a whole beef tenderloin. You get filet mignon and a nice pile of meat. Don't make soup out of this. That would be an overkill. It's tender enough that you don't have to cook it to death like soup. You could use it for stew meat, but I wouldn't put it in too early. It'll just fall apart. But for something like beef and noodles or stroganoff, that's fantastic. Hi, I'm Putnut, and if you enjoyed that, please check this out. More low-carb cooking and reviews for you to enjoy. And if you like the channel, click right here to subscribe. And thank you very much.